Hey there, it's Carrie Rhodes here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel and a new card making video where I'm going to be playing with glitter on my gel press. I'm going to be making two Aloha themed cards today. The die I'm using for these cards is the Island Oasis die. It's a single die from Trinity Stamps. Simple but makes really fun cards. I pulled out this print from my gel press from my stash to make my card, and I thought I would try to recreate it for you guys using my 5x7 gel press. This is a reusable printing plate that you use acrylic paint or inks, a lot of different things on, but mostly acrylic paint to create prints. So I've got some dark pink and light pink acrylic paint here, and then on the other section I'm going to put some orange acrylic paint, and then I'm going to spread this out onto my brayer with my gel press with my brayer. I'm so backwards sometimes. So this is just a scrap piece of paper I'm cleaning that excess paint off of my brayer onto. Sometimes your brayer cleanup paper is so gorgeous, so don't throw that out. You might want to use that on something also. So I blended those out and spread them out. Now I want to add just a little more pink there in the middle so that I can get a nice seamless blend. Next, it's time to add the glitter. I have some fine glitter I'm using here, just sprinkling that on, and then I felt like I might need to brayer that in so it kind of goes in and get mixed up with the paint a little bit. Then I'm bringing in a half sheet of cardstock, so 5.5 by 8.5, and pressing that onto my gel press. Then I can peel that off. It picks up the paint and the glitter. So this is so much easier to see in real life than it is on camera, but I'm going to try really hard to show it to you. So I have excess paint left there, so I might as well take another print. First, I'm going to put down some glitter, and that paint is very thin and mostly dry. So I'm going to add a little white over the top of that just to re-moisten the paint that's already there. So I'll brayer that on, and you want to make sure when you're doing this technique that you have a light layer of paint, not a thick layer, or it just doesn't work as good. So then I add my cardstock, and this time I need to let it sit probably for about 5 minutes. Like walk away, do something else, go and load the dishwasher, I don't know, come back, and then you've got your print, and you can see it picked up all of that paint, and it is so cool. That's probably my favorite, but it's really hard to recreate a gel press print exactly because it's mono printing. No print is ever the same. Each one is unique unto itself, so that's why it's so much fun. But you can get the idea of what I did there and how I got the glitter into the painted background. It's super easy, and you can just play with all different kinds of glitter. But I cut my island out of that, and then I added some foam squares to the back, popped it up onto this golden yellow card base that's A2 size. And for my sentiment, I'm using the modern embossed alphabet from Trinity Stamps. It's got that impression, like an outlined impression into the die cut, which is so very cool. I'm loving that. So next I'm going to glue this vertically on my card. I thought that was really fun. And then I'm using my T-square ruler to line things up. If you've watched any of my videos, you probably know I work better just like eyeballing things, but sometimes you just have to have a ruler and, you know, use the tools that make card making easier for you and not just, you know, one extra step to do. So in that case, the T-square ruler was my friend. So I have these, I think it's called Seashore Confetti. They have a little bit of an iridescent shine to them, so I added those to embellish this card, and overall this card was pretty quick and easy. I already had the print on hand, but most of the time is taken making a gel press print, so really not hard. Now let's move on to card number 2 because I kept playing with my gel press. I already had it out. I had the paint. I might as well, you know. So there's still a little paint left on there from the previous time. I thought I would try out some tinsel glitter. This is from the holiday release from last year from Ranger and Tim Holtz. So I thought, let's try a different color of glitter and see how that goes. And now I'm using some really light yellow on here, just trying to stick with kind of the color scheme and being sunset, pink sunset. And then I'm going to pick that up with my paper. This is one I'm going to let dry and come back and peel it off. Now something's going to happen here. It's a really good learning opportunity. Right here, do you see my paper separated? That just means there was a chunk of paint that was really wet and didn't get dry yet when I started to peel my paper off. So if this happens to you, you'll know what it is. It is frustrating. I'm not gonna lie. I've been gel press printing for years and it still frustrates me. It still happens to me. But with card making, we like to die cut things. We like to layer things. So I have learned that I can still use this print. I don't have to throw it away. It's just going to be used a little bit differently than a solid background. Even a solid background has like a focal image and, you know, a sentiment. So now let's clean it off. I had a question from my viewers about how to clean off your gel press. I just sprayed it with water, wiped it with a baby wipe, and you see I didn't really take everything off. I like all that stuff to stay on there, and it shows up in later prints, and it's such a nice, yummy surprise. So back to the glitter. Did you see what I just put on there? Diamond Stickles. I'm like, let's try Stickles and see what happens. Now, I will admit to you now, I don't notice much difference in my prints with Stickles versus the dry glitter, but it added a wet element to my paint that altered it just a little bit. Now, you can see here, I went crazy and I have way too much paint on my gel press. So I brought out my full-size gel press and used that to clean off my brayer because I had so much paint instead of using a piece of paper. So now I'm getting 2 prints in one, and I highly recommend having more than one gel press so that you can do this, because why waste that paint, you know? You can make other really cool prints. So I've added cardstock to both of those, and now see how there's white areas in this? That's because of the moisture that the Stickles added, and I added some really cool texture. And the glitter didn't really show up on the first one, but it sure did on this print right here. So now let's go back to these super paint covered gel presses. All I did was brayer that paint around. There was quite a bit of yellow that hadn't been spread out, so I just spread it out, and then I'm going to go in and pick up that print. Now, what's exciting to me on this one is that now I can see all the glitter. It's right there. Look, it's so cool. And I'm telling you, you can see the glitter so much better when you're holding these prints in your hand versus on camera. All right, let's have some fun with a stencil. I'm going to take one of the stencils from the You're My Sunshine stencil set from Trinity Stamps and lay that on my gel press. Now, here's a little cool fact about gel presses. They are tacky, they're sticky. So the stencil is going to lay there. Just, it like sticks to it. It doesn't move. It's so cool. It's one of my favorite things about the gel press. So I'm adding some white paint. You can see it's mixing a little bit with the other paint. That's totally fine. I'm going to lay this on here, and I want to pick up all of the paint that I added where the stencil touched it. I'm going to let that dry, and I'm going to come back to it. Now, this is horrible. This is so bad, but this isn't the print I really want, so I'm okay with it. And by the way, when you do this print right here, this would have been a good opportunity for me to use a print that I already had and picked it up with that. But, you know, it's separated a little bit in one spot, so I just scratched the extra paper off my gel press, and now I'm going to add pink. Now, the pink is going to fully fill in all the areas that the stencil removed, and then it's going to pick up all the dried paint. So again, we have dried paint, we're remoistening, so we got to let that set for about 5 or so minutes. When you touch the paper, when you come back in 5 minutes, if it feels cool to the touch, it's not ready. So let it sit a little bit longer. Okay, for this one, I decided, oh, let's add some more Stickles, and I smeared it all around, but it was going on over the top of dried paint, and I'm using a very light layer of paint over that, so it didn't mix in really good. So we'll talk about that when I peel it off. Speaking of peeling it off, when you do this, it is very, very hard to get the paper off. You got to use your muscles, and it will come off though. Don't be afraid. So there is the print. Look at those like rays coming down. It's so cool. Well, I think it's so cool. Maybe when you're looking at this, you're like, what in the world, Carrie? But let's just see the card come together. Okay, so here's the one where I just swirled around the Stickles. You can see exactly where it went down. But again, I'm going to cut this up. I'm going to maybe use it for die cutting, and I like that there's a little line of yellow showing through. All right, let's just take a look back at all the prints I made today on the gel press. Take a look at that glitter, and maybe you're not really like into gel press printmaking, or you're new to it, and some of these, like, they just look crazy, right? What in the world are you going to do with that? This is my tip to you. Oh, that's my brayer cleanup paper right there. I'm totally keeping that. Sometimes you just need to die cut it, make your card, see it come together. It's a little bit harder to see these papers for what they are, like maybe you would see them in a printed paper. You can see that pattern a little bit better. Some of these just look like grungy and crazy, but I just encourage you to cut it up, start using it, play with it, and I think you're going to love the results. So let's take one of these prints, this one right here, and make a card. This is the Modern Embossed Edge A7 die set, all rectangles. The largest one is A7 size, so 5 by 7. I'm going to take the third one from the outside and use that to die cut my print. And you can see it puts that embossed line impressed into the paper all the way around the edge. All right, let's bring back the Island Oasis die, and I'm going to die cut a little window right out of the center. I have been really wanting to use this die to make a shaker card. That's like my favorite card to make ever. So if you're new here, you should know that, because I make a lot of shaker cards on this channel. So there's my window, and the print, you can see, like, once you start putting the focal images on there, it really transforms that gel press print. And it looks like something, you know, people are going to look at your card and think, how did she do that? And they might even think that it's something you purchased. Like, it's so hard to look at and figure out, which is what I love. It's so magical. Okay, so I am taking like a full sheet, or the same size piece of window sheet for this, because when I use cardstock on my gel press, I just buy a cheap ream of cardstock, like at Walmart or, you know, wherever I'm at that has that. I don't invest a lot of money in paper for my gel press, because this is what happens. I don't want to use it. I'm like afraid I'm going to ruin it. At least that's how I was when I first started gel press printing. Now I know that there's really no bad print. You can like add to it, you can cut it. So I'm not so nervous about it now. But I will tell you what, I will make print after print after print when I have cheap cardstock. So you can see I made a reservoir all the way around that window so none of my shaker elements can escape. And these are the same confetti bits I used on card number 1. And I'm backing that with some brushed gold cardstock. I thought that was really fun, sunsetty gold sun for my card. Oh, here you can hear the shaker. But my fan's on and my music's on, so hopefully you can hear it. I'm adding my sentiment here. I went with Aloha again in the white letters. I just thought the white looked so classic and popped off the card so nicely. Here you can see I am just freehanding it, so to speak, and I'm using the line, that embossed line, to line up the letters, which was really helpful. And then we're going to add a second sentiment to this using the Friend Ship stamp set. I had a sample so you could see all the ships there. That's from another video, but I used just a sentiment from the set that says "Seize the Day," and I'm going to emboss that with white powder, so I needed to stamp that out with some sticky embossing ink. I used embossing ink from Wow, and then added my white powder and then heat that up. So I just like to stamp it 2 times with a really light hand when I'm stamping something that has really thin, skinny letters like this did. There is a coordinating die. It's so cute. It bubble cuts the whole thing out. So I'll do that, and then I'm going to glue this right down to my card. It's going to overlap my shaker window and then extend out onto the card, which I love. And then it's time for a little more embellishment. So here's some more confetti bits. These are the iced strawberry punch, and I'm going to glue those in and around my card, and they just add another little touch of pink that I think is really cute. So this die is really fun for making cards. There's so many other ways you could use this die for sure. I just had so much fun pairing it up with my gel press prints. Look at the glitter. It's so good. It's so good. Anyways, I hope that you will take out your gel press, play with it, get a little messy. It all washes off, and make some really fun prints and throw some glitter in there and see what you think. And when you do, let me know how it goes for you. If you have questions about gel press printing, just let me know. Like I said, I've been gel press printing for years. I've taught classes on it, so I am more than happy to answer your questions. And I just thank you for stopping by. It means so much to me that you watch, that you comment. I love chatting with you, and that you click my link. So thank you, everybody, and I will see you all again very soon on the next video. Happy stamping! Bye!